The stars were silent. Far away, in the cold darkness of space, a massive fleet floated like a wall of steel. Ships of the alien empire covered the black sky. They were huge, powerful, and shining with deadly light. For centuries, this empire had ruled the galaxy. They believed no one could challenge them. Inside the command ship, the alien generals laughed. Their voices echoed in the hall made of black metal and glowing blue fire. One of them, tall and armored, pointed at a screen. On the screen, a small army of ships could be seen, weak and fragile compared to the Empire's grand fleet. "Is this all they send?" the alien general mocked. "A child's force. Not even worth our weapons." The others laughed louder. Their eyes glowed with arrogance. They had destroyed thousands of civilizations before. To them, this tiny army was nothing more than dust. But the small army did not run. They stood in formation, their ships steady and calm. Their weapons looked old, their defenses thin. It was like watching a few raindrops stand against a storm. The aliens found it funny. "They do not understand," said another general. "They do not know what power is. They believe their little fire can burn the sun. Let us end this quickly." The emperor of the alien empire sat on his throne, listening. His crown shone with cold silver light. He smiled with cruel pride. "Crush them. Do it slowly. I want the galaxy to see what happens when anyone dares to rise against us." The order was given. Alien warships moved forward, their engines glowing red. Thousands of weapons aimed at the small army. The sky trembled with their power. And yet, something was strange. The small army did not fire first. They did not move or panic. Their ships simply waited, like hunters hiding in the shadows. Their leaders did not speak, their flags did not fall. It was as if they were waiting for something. The alien generals noticed this. One frowned. "Why are they so calm? Do they not fear us?" Another laughed again. "They are frozen in fear. That is all. When fire rains on them, they will break." Still, deep inside, a tiny unease grew. The aliens had seen fear many times before. Civilizations cried and begged when the Empire arrived. But this army was different. There was no begging, no surrender, only silence. Minutes passed. Tension grew. On one of the smaller ships in the enemy fleet, a shadow moved behind the glass. A figure stood tall, watching the aliens. The figure's eyes were calm, not afraid. His hand rested on a console, waiting. But the aliens could not see clearly. To them, it was nothing. Just another weak soldier. The Emperor rose from his throne. His voice thundered through the hall, "Fire!" In that instant, thousands of alien cannons lit up the sky. Beams of energy, hot as suns, cut through the black void. The galaxy itself seemed to burn. The first wave of attack rushed toward the small army. Everyone expected the little fleet to be destroyed in seconds. That was the natural order of things. The weak must fall before the strong. But just before the beams hit, the small army moved. Their formation shifted in a way the aliens did not expect. The ships broke apart, weaving through the fire with impossible precision. Blasts of light missed them by inches. Explosions filled the darkness, but the small army remained standing. The alien generals shouted in surprise. "What is this? How can they move like that?" They were not supposed to survive. The Emperor's smile faded. His eyes narrowed. For the first time, he felt something unusual, curiosity mixed with doubt. Meanwhile, on the enemy ship, the shadowy figure finally spoke. His voice was deep, steady, and filled with quiet strength. "They laugh at us," he said. "They think we are nothing. Let them laugh. Soon, they will see." The soldier beside him turned. "Commander, shall we begin?" The figure nodded slowly. His face came into the light for the first time. It was a human face. The aliens did not know yet. They had no idea who was hidden inside the small army. But soon, they would learn. Very soon, the galaxy would remember the name of humanity. And the alien empire would never laugh again. The alien cannons fell silent. Smoke and fire drifted across the black sky, glowing like dying stars. But to the shock of the Empire, the small fleet was still standing. Some ships were damaged, but the core of the army remained alive. They had moved with skill, with precision that no one expected. Inside the alien war room, silence filled the air. The generals stared at their screens. Their laughter was gone. One finally broke the silence with a growl. They were supposed to be destroyed. Another slammed his fist on the table. It is a trick. They cannot truly fight. Let us fire again. Stronger this time. Burn them until nothing is left. The Emperor raised his hand, stopping them. His cold eyes studied the battlefield. He was old, wise, and cruel. He had seen rebellions before, but this was unusual. The small army was not fighting like rebels. They were fighting like soldiers who knew exactly what they were doing. They are waiting for something, the Emperor whispered. But what? On the other side of the battlefield, the small fleet floated quietly. Their formation shifted once more, like a puzzle locking into place. Every move was sharp, clean, and planned. It was not the behavior of desperate survivors. It was the behavior of warriors. Aboard one of the small ships, the human commander stood at the center. His uniform was dark, marked with no symbols of empire or nation. His eyes scanned the stars with focus. Around him, the crew sat at their stations, calm and ready. One of his officers leaned closer. "Commander, they still underestimate us. They believe we are only running." The commander's lips curved into a faint smile. "Good. Let them believe. The longer they laugh, the sharper their fall will be." Back in the alien command ship, a young general growled. "Why do we wait? Let us charge them. Their fleet is too small to resist us. We can break them with one push." The Emperor shook his head. "Not yet. They are hiding something. I want to see what." The generals obeyed, but unease crept into their hearts. For the first time, doubt touched their pride. The alien fleet shifted its lines, surrounding the small army like a steel cage. Slowly, they closed in. The Empire's power was a storm, and soon there would be no escape. The alien soldiers laughed again, trying to regain their confidence. They mocked the little fleet, calling them insects trapped in a jar. Across the comms, messages of arrogance filled the airwaves. "Tiny sparks in the dark," one alien captain shouted. "We will crush you, and no one will ever remember your name." Inside the small fleet, the humans listened in silence. None of them answered. None of them wasted words. The human commander finally spoke to his crew. His voice was calm, but every syllable carried steel. "They think we are weak because we are few. They think our weapons are old, our numbers too small. Let them think so. The Empire has never faced us before. They do not understand what humanity is." His eyes turned toward the screen, where the massive alien fleet glowed like a rising storm. "Today," he whispered, "they will learn." The human ships adjusted their course. Engines glowed faintly, but they did not fire. Instead, they held their ground like hunters waiting in silence. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Back on the alien flagship, the Emperor rose from his throne again. His voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Attack," he commanded. "Do not destroy them yet. Break their ships piece by piece. Show them despair." The order was given. The alien fleet advanced, thousands of guns locking on target. The stars lit with fire once more. But just as the second wave prepared to strike, something unexpected happened. From deep within the small army, hidden signals flashed. The formation shifted again, sharper than before. This time, the ships did not dodge. They prepared. They were not only surviving now, they were about to fight back. One alien general shouted in surprise. "They are not running. They are charging us." And in that moment, the first human weapon fired. A single beam cut through space, striking with precision. An alien ship exploded, broken in half. The laughter of the Empire died instantly. Gasps filled the command hall. No one had expected a single shot to cause such destruction. What was that?" one general stammered. The Emperor narrowed his eyes. His hands tightened on the arms of his throne. For the first time, he felt a chill. The humans had revealed only the edge of their strength. And the true battle was just beginning. The explosion echoed across the stars. A single alien warship, one of the Empire's proud destroyers, had been torn apart by a single shot. Pieces of its metal frame spun into the void, burning as they fell into nothingness. The alien fleet froze. The generals, who had been laughing only moments ago, stared in shock. How did they do that? One cried out. Our armor is the strongest in the galaxy. No small fleet should be able to pierce it. The Emperor's cold eyes narrowed. For the first time in decades, he leaned forward in his throne. His voice dropped into a low growl. Magnify the footage. Show me the source of that fire. The screen lit up with the image of the small army. The ships floated calmly, their guns ready. But hidden among them were vessels the aliens had never seen before. Their shapes were sharp, their engines quiet, their weapons glowing with unfamiliar light. One general frowned. What design is this? No world under our control builds ships like these. Another whispered, his voice almost trembling. It is not a design from our empire. This is something else. The Emperor's crown gleamed in the light as he turned his gaze to the fleet. His lips pressed into a thin line. Who are they? The answer was waiting, hidden inside the lead ship of the small fleet. Inside, the human commander stood tall. His face was calm, but his crew could feel the weight of his presence. They are confused, said one of his officers, a young woman with sharp eyes. They do not know who we are. They will, the commander replied. He pressed a button on the console. Open the channel. A deep hum filled the room. Across the void, a signal reached the alien flagship. Their comms crackled, and then, for the first time, the aliens heard a voice unlike any they had heard before. It was human. Strong. Clear. This is not the fleet of slaves you have crushed before, the voice declared. This is not a rebellion of the weak. This is humanity. The words hit the alien generals like thunder. Their faces twisted in disbelief. Humanity, one shouted. Impossible. They were destroyed centuries ago. Another snarled, shaking his head. It is a lie. They cannot exist. The humans were wiped from the galaxy. We saw their worlds burn. But deep in their hearts, fear stirred. The legends of humanity were not forgotten. Long ago, before the Empire had taken control, there had been whispers of a race unlike any other. A race that fought not only with weapons, but with will. A race that refused to surrender. And now, those whispers stood before them, alive. The Emperor's face darkened. His voice shook with rage. So the ghosts return. You think you can face the Empire again? You think you can stand against me? On the human ship, the commander's lips curved into a small, cold smile. We don't think, Emperor. We know. The alien generals erupted into chaos. Some shouted for an immediate attack, others demanded retreat to regroup. The room filled with fear and noise. For the first time in centuries, the Empire was unsure. But the Emperor silenced them with a single strike of his staff. The hall shook with his fury. Then let the humans taste our full strength, he roared. Crush them before the galaxy dares to hope. His orders sent the alien fleet charging forward. Thousands of ships, engines burning, filled the black sky with fire. The Empire's might roared like a storm. But the humans were ready. Inside the small fleet, the commander raised his hand. Formation Delta. Show them who we are. The human ships moved in perfect harmony, weaving through the alien storm. Every shot was precise, every movement controlled. Where alien firepower was wild and overwhelming, human tactics were sharp and calculated. An alien cruiser exploded. Then another. And another. The Empire's fleet, for the first time, was bleeding. The alien generals watched in horror. They should not be winning. How are they doing this? The answer was simple. The humans were not many, but they were prepared. They had trained in the shadows, hidden from the Empire's gaze, waiting for the day they would return. And now, they fought not as rebels, not as survivors, but as warriors of humanity. The commander's voice rang across the comms once more. You called us extinct. You laughed at us. But humanity never dies. We rise. We fight. And we endure. The alien fleet trembled under the weight of his words. The arrogance of the Empire was cracking. Fear was spreading, and for the first time, the galaxy saw a future where the Empire could fall. But the battle was far from over. The Emperor's eyes burned with rage as he watched his fleet suffer. He leaned forward, his voice sharp like a blade. "Very well," he whispered. "If humanity has returned, then I will end them myself." And with that, the Empire prepared to unleash its deadliest weapon. The true war had only just begun. The stars became fire. Alien cannons roared, flooding the void with blazing energy. Beams of red light cut through space, explosions shook the heavens, and the Empire's fleet surged forward like a tidal wave. The small human fleet seemed tiny against this storm. Their numbers were few, their ships dwarfed by alien cruisers that stretched like floating fortresses. To any ordinary eye, the battle looked hopeless. Inside the alien command hall, the generals grinned again, their confidence returning. "Now they will be broken," one declared. "Let us watch their courage burn away," another sneered. The Emperor said nothing. His cold eyes stayed fixed on the battle, searching for weakness. But the weakness was not on the human side. Inside the lead human ship, the commander stood steady. His hands rested behind his back, his voice calm, almost quiet. "Engage," he ordered. The human fleet moved. Not in chaos, not in panic, but with sharp precision. Their formation bent and shifted like a blade cutting through water. Alien fire lit up the void, but the humans weaved through it, slipping into blind spots the Empire had never considered. A single command rang out. "Strike." From the smallest ships, missiles launched, silent, fast, and deadly. They did not aim at the strongest alien vessels, nor the thickest armor. Instead, they targeted weak points, fuel lines, shield generators, and command relays. One alien cruiser erupted in flames. Another lost its shields, leaving it exposed. The generals gasped. How do they know where to strike? The Emperor's jaw tightened. He knew the answer, though he hated it. The humans had studied them. They had learned the Empire's designs, their flaws, their habits. The small army was not blind, they were hunters. On the battlefield, alien ships fired wildly, trying to crush the humans with sheer force. But every time they thought they had cornered one ship, the humans vanished into the shadows, reappearing on the other side to strike again. The Empire fought with arrogance. The humans fought with purpose. "Destroy them," one alien captain roared as his ship turned to fire. But before he could launch, a human vessel slipped behind him, firing a single shot. His ship shattered into silence. The human commander's voice remained calm. "Do not waste energy. Strike only where it counts." His officers obeyed. Every move was measured, every shot deliberate. To the humans, this was not just survival. This was discipline. This was war. Still, the alien fleet pressed harder. Their numbers were overwhelming. For every alien ship destroyed, 3 more advanced. The sky burned brighter, louder. The humans were holding the line, but the storm was relentless. Inside the alien hall, a general leaned forward, rage in his eyes. "Why do they resist? Why do they not break?" Another answered, his voice unsteady. "They fight, as if death means nothing to them." The Emperor finally spoke. His words were cold as stone. "No. They fight as if they have already accepted death, and still choose to strike. That is what makes them dangerous." Back on the battlefield, the humans unleashed their second wave. Small drones, silent, almost invisible, slipped from their ships, weaving through the chaos. They latched onto alien hulls, detonating in bursts of fire. More cruisers fell. The Empire's wall of steel was cracking. But then, the aliens revealed their own strength. At the Emperor's command, the Empire's dreadnoughts entered the battle. Colossal ships, larger than cities, their cannons blazing with enough fire to burn a planet. Their shadows swallowed the stars. The human officers stiffened. Even their calm discipline wavered at the sight. "Commander, how can we stand against that?" one whispered. The commander's gaze never shifted. His voice remained firm. "Remember what you are fighting for. Not just survival. Not just revenge. We fight for every human voice the Empire tried to silence. For every world they burned. Hold steady. We are humanity. We endure. The words filled his crew with fire. Fear turned into resolve. The humans braced themselves as the dreadnoughts opened fire. A storm of destruction crashed upon them. The void blazed with explosions. Several human ships were struck, torn apart, their pieces scattering across space. The loss was heavy, but the fleet did not falter. Instead, they answered. Now, the commander ordered. The human fleet shifted once more. This time, their entire formation twisted into a trap. The dreadnoughts, massive and slow, charged forward, straight into the pattern the humans had laid. From hidden compartments, the humans unleashed their secret, ion disruptors. Beams of blue light shot across space, striking the dreadnoughts at their joints, their engines, their shields. Massive ships trembled. Their lights flickered. And then, one of the Empire's dreadnoughts, untouchable for centuries, fell. The explosion lit the galaxy like a second sun. The shockwave tore through the stars, and the alien fleet staggered in horror. Inside the command hall, silence struck again. Generals stared with wide eyes. Their mighty dreadnought, destroyed by the very race they believed extinct. The Emperor's hand clenched on his throne. His face darkened like a storm. The humans had proven they were not a forgotten people. They were warriors. They were hunters. And worst of all, they were winning. The galaxy burned with war. Wreckage drifted across the stars, glowing like broken moons. The alien Empire's fleet, once proud and untouchable, now carried scars. Ships that had never known defeat lay in ruins, torn apart by the very race they had mocked. In the alien command hall, chaos ruled. Generals shouted, voices filled with panic. They should not be able to do this, one cried. Our dreadnoughts were supposed to be invincible, another screamed. The Emperor sat in silence, his hands gripping the arms of his throne. His crown shone under the light, but his eyes were dark, storming with fury. Be silent, he growled. The hall froze. His gaze shifted to the battle on the screen. This is not chance. This is not luck. The humans have planned for this day. They waited, they watched, and now they strike. He leaned forward. But they will not win. On the battlefield, the humans pressed their advantage. Their fleet moved with perfect precision, striking weak points, disappearing into blind spots, weaving around the Empire's fire. But even as victories piled up, they knew the storm was far from over. Inside the lead human ship, the commander stood with his officers. Smoke filled the air, alarms blinked red. The battle was costing them dearly. 3 of our ships are gone, one officer reported. Another 5 are heavily damaged. We cannot last much longer against their numbers. The commander's eyes stayed fixed on the burning dreadnought in the distance. His voice was calm, steady. We were never meant to last long. We were meant to strike hard. The young officer beside him frowned. Commander, should we use it? The room grew silent. Every officer turned, waiting for the answer. The commander closed his eyes for a moment. He knew what it meant. The weapon they had hidden, the weapon no one had seen, the weapon that could turn the tide, or destroy them all. Finally, he nodded. Yes. It is time. The Empire must see what humanity has become. A signal was sent. Across the human fleet, silent codes unlocked sealed compartments. Hidden doors opened. And then, the shadows of space came alive. From the darkness, vast shapes emerged, larger than anything the aliens expected. They were not traditional warships. They were something new, something terrifying. Black hulls absorbed light, engines whispered instead of roared, and their weapons glowed with an energy the aliens had never encountered. These were the Phoenix class, humanity's secret weapon, built in secret, forged in exile. Ships designed not only to fight, but to break empires. When the alien fleet saw them, terror spread. What are those? One general stammered. They are not on any record, they cannot be. The Emperor's eyes widened. For the first time, he looked unsettled. So, this is what they were hiding. The Phoenix-class ships opened fire. Beams of pure white energy tore across the battlefield. Alien shields cracked. Cruisers split apart. Even dreadnought armor burned under their power. The Empire's mighty fleet, once untouchable, fell like dry leaves in a storm. Inside the human ship, the commander's voice echoed through the comms. "This is humanity's answer. You thought us weak, you thought us extinct. But we rise from fire. We are the Phoenix." The alien soldiers who had mocked the small fleet were now screaming for retreat. Their arrogance had turned into fear. In the command hall, one general fell to his knees. "Emperor, we cannot hold them. We must fall back." Another shouted, "If we do not retreat, the humans will destroy everything." The Emperor rose from his throne. His voice thundered across the hall. "Cowards! Do you fear ghosts? Do you fear a handful of insects who survived extinction?" His hand struck the table, and the hall shook. "I am the Empire. I am eternal. And I will not bow to humanity." His fury silenced the room. But even as he spoke, explosions filled the screen. More alien ships fell, their mighty fleet breaking piece by piece. The Emperor's cold gaze shifted. Slowly, his lips curled into a cruel smile. "Very well," he said softly. "If humanity dares to return, then I shall face them myself." A new command spread across the Empire's fleet. The Emperor's personal warship, the Eternal Blade, began to move. It was larger than a dreadnought, a fortress of black steel, armed with weapons that could rip apart planets. Its engines flared, and the battlefield trembled. Inside the human flagship, the commander's crew fell silent as the massive ship appeared on their screens. "It's him," whispered one officer. "The Emperor himself." The commander's eyes narrowed. He had waited for this moment. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered. "The Empire's head has come to the field. We cannot fail. This ends here." The Phoenix-class ships formed around the flagship, their weapons burning bright. The Emperor's ship advanced, casting its shadow over the stars. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Humanity had revealed its weapon. The Empire had revealed its ruler. The final clash was about to begin.